Now, we're going to take them what they're saying. He had the 8th best pass-blocking offensive line in football. Now, that's what Pro Football Focus said, and that's what we're basing this on, how we're going to critique Deshaun Watson. So we can't discount one while we take into account the other. Yep. So they graded him that high, and so we got to give his offensive line the credit that they deserve. Running game, I got no problem with them saying this running game because David Johnson hadn't had a good year since he had that breakout season. Skip, what was that, 2016? He hasn't been that since then. Been hurt an awful lot. His running game was terrible. His defense was terrible. But he has weapons. Skip, all Brandon Cooks does is that wherever he goes, 1,000 yards receiving seasons following. He's in New England for 1 year, he got 1,000 yards. He's in New Orleans for years, he gets 1,000 yards. He goes to the Rams, he gets 1,000 yards. He goes to Houston, he gets 1,000 yards. That's all I know. William Fuller IV. Skip, I'm not saying the guy's Julio Jones or Tay Adams, but he's a good receiver. And Tom Brady, when the last time Tom Brady had a Pro Bowl receiver? A Pro Bowl receiver. I ain't talking about tight end, I'm saying a Pro Bowl receiver. And so, look, I think Deshaun Watson is unbelievable. I believe he's a top 5, top 6 quarterback. I really do. But to say he had the best season, so I want to know who he was throwing to as he led the league in passing yards. Skip, who catching them passes? Fans? Me? You? Jenny? I mean, you got to give the guys that he's played with some credit, Skip. I'm not saying they the upper echelon, but to try to dismiss William Fuller and to dismiss Brandon Cooks, I don't think that's fair.
Once again, I agree with Pro Football Focus. The harder I look at what Deshaun pulled off last year, it was the best season that any quarterback had last year on degree of difficulty. And they're making the case that if you rank it against other seasons by other great quarterbacks over the last 15 years, historically like 2007 Brady, record-breaking, that if you do the degree of difficulty, that Deshaun's achievement is right there with Brady's achievement, given what he was working without. So, to quote from the piece, absolutely nothing went the Texans' way last year. Deshaun played with a terrible defense, a terrible running game, and no star receivers. And you're saying Brandon Cooks was a star.
No, Skip, I'm Skip. But see, think about it now. We've seen Tom Brady win Super Bowl after Super Bowl with no star receivers. Now, yeah, you would like to have, who wouldn't like to have a Tyreek? Who wouldn't like to have a Devontae or a Julio or Stephon Diggs? But the notion that says you can't be great without those guys is not true.
Okay. So he still put up the 19th best regular season passing grade of the Pro Football Focus era, of their lifespan. And it was a 91.2. And anything 90-plus for them is historically great. So he did it in spite of the DeAndre Hopkins trade.
Right. We all agree that was a terrible move.
It was a terrible move. And it was hard on him psychologically. And yet the conclusion is that Watson was the best quarterback in the league in 2020 and arguably had the best season from a quarterback in the past 15 years.
Do you believe he was the best quarterback last year in 2020?
When I look at his lack of around him, the lack of running game, so they couldn't play action pass. They couldn't screen pass. They didn't RPO much. He just dropped back and made it happen. And I think those receivers are underestimated. I will give you that, because the top two they're pretty good. And the little man from Green Bay who was in Dallas, little Randall Cobb, he's not bad. Okay, so we had those three to choose from, and they did pretty well. I'll just say this. I love Deshaun more than you do.
No, I think Deshaun is fabulous. I think he, like I said, but when you, Skip, you like, Rodgers, Brady, Mahomes, Wilson, Josh Allen, and Deshaun. Okay, you taking Watson in front of Rodgers?
At this point in his growth, like right now, I would take Deshaun over Aaron Rodgers. If I had to go forward with him, I would take Deshaun right now, because Aaron's what, 36? 37? He's on, going on 36.
The man just threw 48 touchdowns with 5 picks.
Okay, I'll still take Deshaun.
Okay, you Mahomes.
Okay, I'll go this far. I believe if Deshaun Watson had been the Kansas City quarterback against the Bucs in the Super Bowl, they would have scored more points than Mahomes scored.
I don't believe so. Because you know why? Because we've seen this before. No matter how great you are as a quarterback, when that pass rush get relentless, and people are like, man, I can't believe you gave Mahomes an F. I gave Cam an F too. Because Cam was up under the same duress against the Denver defense as Mahomes was. And we said Cam choked. But we tried to give Mahomes a pass. I don't grade like that, Skip. I call it like I see it. He didn't get the job done. The pressure was relentless. My thing, Skip, I think the thing is sometimes is that when we grade these quarterbacks and we look at them and he's like, well, you didn't break him here. You said he's not any good. I'm not saying Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson is a great quarterback.
Yeah.
But you ask yourself, I'm not taking him over Rodgers right now. Not right now. Not over Mahomes right now.
Okay, I would. The reason I believe he would have done better under duress in the Super Bowl, he's got more pocket guts than Mahomes does. Mahomes bails too much for me. When Deshaun bails, he runs north. He steps up into the rush, and he'll break through it occasionally, and he'll run north.
It's hard to break through, Skip, when it was collapsing the pocket inside like they were Vita Vea and Sue.
Okay, Mahomes likes to bail south. And then if he escapes around you, he'll run with the ball, and he's an underestimated runner. He's got better sort of quickness/speed than I give him credit for, because he looks like he weighs like 240 to me. But he can carry it because he's an athlete. But Deshaun is so wiry, quick, hard to get a grip on. Remember the play he made in the playoff game 2 years ago?
Yeah, Buffalo.
Where the two Buffalo guys just smash together. They both get grips on him, hands on him, and he escapes, wheels, and he's looking to throw, and he makes the throw of the game that wins the game.
Skip, I've said this. I would like to see Deshaun in a system like Kyle Shanahan, where they don't have top 5 receivers, but Kyle Shanahan can call the game. They can run the football, and they're going to be able to play action. I would love to see that. But right now, I mean, I don't know how many guys are going to take him over Rodgers. You taking him over Brady right now?
Are we going long-term, or are we going right here, right now?
We're talking about the next two years.
Okay, I don't think he could have done what Brady did in Tampa this year, because I don't think anybody could have.
Why not?
Because of leadership, aura, goatness, where he just walked in and he turned a loser into a winner.
Yep,
like that.
The difference is that Brady came with instant credibility. He had 6.
Yep, okay.
When you walk into the room with 6, Skip, it's just like an actor. You on a movie set, and that guy got an Academy Award, or that lady got an Academy Award. You know what they bring to the table?
Yep. Okay, Brady does it with this underestimated, underappreciated poise. It doesn't look spectacular what's happened. I love to watch Deshaun because...
I love watching him, too.
Whoa.
Well, he convinced me after what he did.
Hey,
he convinced me what he did in a loss to Alabama. I was convinced, I said, okay, he the real deal.
Hey, he competes at the highest level.
I didn't need to see any more. I wish he could have came out that year.
And to me, he is a deadly accurate thrower.
Yes.
Who is mobile.
Yes.
He can move, but he moves to throw more than he moves to run.
Right.
So to me, if you get him in the right spot...
Let's go Niners.
Yeah, okay. And by the way, if in fact he is on the market, now we're back to the Draymond situation.
Oh, he's on the market.
Can he talk his way, force his way out of Houston the way James Harden forced himself in the NBA out of Houston? Well, if he does, I am here to tell you, in the history of this league, we have never seen a quarterback younger and better on the market.
No.
Never.
No.
You can look at Brett Favre once upon a time. How did Green Bay acquire him? Well, he was in Atlanta for a year.
No, he was a buckhead. He was at the bars. Okay. That's where he was at.
He had issues.
Yes.
And they didn't like his issues, so they were happy because he hadn't shown them enough on the field.
Right.
So he had proven next to nothing.
To know what he is, guys 25 quarterbacks don't become available.
25 years old, and you know.
You absolutely know.
You're not speculating.
No
You're not projecting at all. You know who he is.
Peyton Manning came available year 14, year 13, year 14, but he's coming with a neck surgery.
And you couldn't know for sure.
Tom Brady came available after year 20. Drew Brees came with a bum shoulder.
Right.
So we're talking about a guy that's fully healthy, in his prime, that's gone to multiple Pro Bowls, that's led teams to playoffs.
And I had not seen enough of Drew Brees in San Diego to say, oh, He's a Hall of Famer.
I had saw enough of him. I saw him get benched for Doug Flutie. Nobody, Skip, anybody that tell you they knew Drew Brees had what he had in him once he got to New Orleans, they're lying.
Yep.
They're lying because I saw him up close and personal twice a year. And I never in my wildest dream thought he
that's right, you did.
Yes, he was in San Diego when I went back to Denver. And I never in my wildest, Skip, he got benched for Doug Flutie.
He did.
That ain't not so.
And
when
they were ready to move on.
Yes.
Yes.
Skip. You know how do you know they was ready to move on? They got the #1 overall draft pick and they selected Eli Manning and they traded him for Phillip Rivers.
They did.
That's when they told you they were ready to move on.
Ready to move on.
So, no, guys like him at that position,
hey,
this is the first time in the history he's come available.
This is just me. I don't care how much he costs. I would just close my eyes. We'll do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
He is that good.